On the last episode of Yu Hakusho ranking the classes, we talked about the insane power and speed increases of the C-class demons. But before I begin, let's make something clear about why I have such exponential jumps in their attack potency. First and foremost, attack potency is the potential damage a particular attack can inflict without environmental destruction. An example is with Link's Master Sword having 10 times more attack power than the axe in Breath of the Wild. But it does not cut down trees as efficiently as the axe. Secondly, characters have different levels of Yoki, which some can amp up their attack strength exponentially or speed. But now, it's time to talk about the class after the C, and that is the B-class demons. During the Dark Tournament arc, we've skyrocketed in terms of raw power. Demons at this point are no longer simply destroying buildings, but are threats to society. To give some insight, let's start with the borderline B tier, Master Genkai, someone who, while much weaker, is literally able to one-shot Shishi Wakumaru, a character that even surprised Yoko Kurama when he broke the barrier, implying he's above base form Kurama. What I didn't go over before was Kurama's demon form Yoko Kurama. The interesting thing about Kurama's Yoko form is that in the manga adaptation, it is about a 79.9 or 80 times increase of his base aura capacity. Though one may be able to argue that it is not the same since he was suppressed, it can be shown through Kurama's face that this Kurama was stronger than all the members of their crew up until this point. Nonetheless, Genkai displays power capable of one-shotting beings who are as Shishi Wakumaru, who could scale to Chu in Jin, and if not, arguably stronger, as Hiei found him as a challenge given Hiei used 60 to 40% versus Peach Boy, asserting Genkai's at least 50% of Hiei's power while suppressed, isn't too far-fetched. She also fights against Suzuki, who by the way is not that weak as he has versatility to change his harmonics of its spiritual energy. Basically its characteristics. And yes, Toguro found it necessary to use 30% against him, implying he'd one-shot post-Suzaku Yusuke, yet Genkai tanks his attack and somehow, compared to this scan, snatched his nose away, implying she moved from this position without even being noticed. Which I'd reckon she'd at least be 2 to 3 times faster since Shishi Wakumaru was stronger. Jumping over to the fight with Genkai and Toguro, we notice Genkai is able to damage Toguro at 45%. But Toguro proceeds to unleash 80%, which made her next spirit gun in final form 1 pretty much fodder. In addition, Toguro's aura is so intense it stops all passing breezes on the island and is felt throughout the island itself. Moreover, Genkai's max power is not even enough to triumph Toguro. In fact, it didn't even really tickle him. To which later Yusuke appears and is suppressed by the spirit cuffs, which requires 100% of his power to stand in the strain. Somehow disappears even from Toguro's perspective, implying a heavy amp in speed. Needless to say, Yusuke did not succeed despite being angry, but later unleashes his enough attack potency through his spirit gun to be felt through the island, leaving everyone in pure shock. Later on, we then see Yusuke Urameshi doing some meditation as Kuwabara comes by and makes a comment that his ray gun has to be the most potent weapon on Earth. This here would actually scale above SAR bombs, which in reality should be able to unleash 50 megatons of TNT, and we could see some accuracy with that as you'll see with the later scaling. Of course, in the beginning we have the infamous battle of Kurasu versus Kurama, which really doesn't show much in terms of raw power or attack potency, except that Yoko Kurama tanked the attack that would have vaporized normal Suichi. To which later on, after this battle, we shift over to, well, the big guns, Hiei versus Bui, which we later find out Hiei was not only on a new level before releasing the Black Dragon, but a projectile aura being 2 times the attack potency bare minimum shows a small mountain level feat. Given the size of the island, we can argue that these are large mountains, which in the anime Hiei nearly destroys before absorbing the Black Dragon, which further amps his power. Now, remember Yusuke being 2.4 megatons of TNT or small city level at best earlier? Well, Hiei states that the Black Dragon, when absorbed, enhances its master's capacities to the nth degree. For those unaware, the term is vague under normal circumstances, but I do have a way to calc it. Now, given the caliber of the previous fighters Team Toguro went up against, let's assert Hiei in base is slightly above Genkai, given he wanted to fight Shishiwakumaru and was able to produce a crater which is only about 2.5 times smaller than Toguro's, so he's likely above Genkai at this point. So I'll say, given Shishiwakumaru compares to Chu, a 4 times increase makes sense in this context. As a simple formula, n represents a random variable, but the th at the end implies it is a bare minimum of the 4th degree when it comes to a numeric value. If the value of Hiei's Black Dragon or Aura projectile is 2 times base his attack potency, and Hiei being 4 times stronger than Yusuke prior, then the n is equal to 8, which to the 4th power is about 8 times 8 times 8 times 8, or pretty much 4,096 times Yusuke's additional 2.4 megatons, which gives us about 9,830.4 megatons of TNT, or 9 gigatons, scaling Hiei to small island level in terms of raw attack potency, which makes sense because he wanted to fight the younger Toguro anyway. It also furthermore explains why Bui was fodder in 2 hits alone and Hiei wasn't even putting in much effort. As for raw speed, we can't get carried away. The Darkness Flame only brings raw power to the nth degree, and we can't quantify the speed directly, or it'd be an outlier due to Hiei lacking such speeds narratively. We'll explain that later. But if we took Yusuke's Mach feats from our prior videos and amp Hiei speed by 8 times over, an increase of Hiei being arguably Mach 48,000 in combat speed alone, as an approximation, this makes him at least 5% the speed of light. Next up is the final bout, Yusuke vs Toguro. Whereas I've proven Hiei wasn't afraid of 80% Toguro, Yusuke was holding his own pretty well. He then manages to unleash a spirit gun, which attack potency, according to Chu's statements, has 3 times more potency than the one used against him, which is about 7.2 megatons of TNT, while suppress, when Chu was most likely talking about the rapid fire spirit gun. So, if we look at the fact that it gets stronger than the last one, then we can assert that it's probably 3 times stronger, given that it's based off the rapid fire variation. And 6 times 3 being 18, we can actually multiply this, which can actually arguably make Yusuke 43.2 megatons of TNT, which is accurate to Kuwabara's statement, matching the SAR bomb, which therefore makes Yusuke low mountain level or almost city level plus. Now, where things start to turn up a lot more is when Yusuke unleashes the Spirit Cuffs, which, by the way, he needed his full power to move in. I like to emphasize this because a lot of people don't realize he was pretty much at 100% at all times. That's why his 3 times, Chu's aura expression didn't seem that impressive. But it's very clear that, once he took him off, he forced Toguro into 100%. Now, remember, these are exponential increases as Toguro was pretty much able to block Yusuke's entire, unrestrained power with just his thumb. The sheer force of his transformation actually wiped out a quarter of the spectators, which some were even low C class, arguably. And as we've seen in earlier chapters, an approximation of matching someone's spiritual order needs to be cancelled out. But Toguro was able to cancel the spirit gun of Yusuke, unrestrained, with his voice. Keep in mind, Yusuke's ray gun at this point should easily be mountain level, yet it got cancelled out with a simple shout. As later, Toguro starts to absorb the other people's soul, or what they even call chi absorption or rei absorption, which is even able to affect fighters such as Rinku and even Kai. Which, if you've seen the earlier fights, Kai is someone who gave Yusuke and Kuwabara a very hard time. Even if Yusuke's aura wasn't working, even Genkai had to strain herself quite a bit to take out someone of his caliber. But then, Yusuke Urameshi is able to unlock a new side of himself once Toguro finally tapped into his emotions. At this point, Toguro uses a 100% full power attack, which does virtually no damage, claiming Yusuke would have been atomized prior to now. Yusuke, of course, blitzes and outpowers Toguro and launches a spirit gun that matches the size of the island itself, which in scaling side by side makes Yusuke Urameshi with his full powers unlock island level. Now, for those of you who are skeptical, to calculate the island we need to compare the area distance. Remember, it took Toguro 6 hours to get from point A to point B because that's how long Hiei was knocked out for, or pretty much taking his nap. Lowballing him to walking about 3 to 4 miles per hour for a brisk walking pace, this means the island was about 18 to 24 miles long, implying by the width it's comparable to an island in real life, which this spirit gun nearly dwarfs. One thing I also missed was that in the manga, Yusuke missed on purpose because he wanted to obliterate Toguro in his soul, essentially saying he wanted him gone. Now for Toguro's 100% form. Which one should we use? The fan translation for 100% over 100%, or the Viz, which is 100% of 100%? Well, my answer is the Viz. It's because Toguro was able to fight against a Yusuke who can use his life energy times the spirit gun added on top of that and pretty much fire it off. Remember, Yusuke was already showing he was physically stronger than Toguro at this point when his emotions were acted. Toguro didn't use any projectile-based aura, so even if he did go, let's say, 200% increase, a 2 times difference shouldn't even stop this. Yet Toguro was able to stop it, but what mostly killed him was the strain he put on his body to even compare to Yusuke's high level of power, implying that Toguro was likely 100 times his increase, which if I add to the fact that at least 100% Toguro is stronger than that of Hiei, who we already deemed as small island level, which if Hiei was at least 9 gigatons of TNT, Toguro should at least be double that, but let's not make too many assumptions. Let's just put Toguro at the same level as Hiei for the sake of simplicity, and then just stack on 100 times that. That would be 900 gigatons of TNT, which is pretty much almost country level. That's extremely impressive and very accurate to the lore of the series because an A-class demon is a threat to a country. In fact, we'll get into that a little bit later, but it does make sense because Toguro is classified as an upper B class, and we all know that the difference between an upper C class and a lower C class is easily in the hundreds of times difference. Now, if we're talking about B class, when you compare mid-class Hiei to the upper class Toguro, that also could be very plausible. Now, what about the speed? Well, the speed is more complicated in Yu Hakusho, but we do know that the spirit energy, or chi, in Yu Hakusho is based off of light, or at least has the properties of it. But given that Yusuke at 100% is obviously above Hiei in many ways, Yusuke with his emotions unleashed is obviously faster. I can't really quantify how much faster he is, but since we've seen in Yu Hakusho before that if you're at least 2 times above your opponent, you're not going to dominate them. You need at least to be 3 times stronger, as we've seen with Toguro, to really stroke fear in them. So I'm just going to say Yusuke at bare minimum was about 3 times faster than Hiei, putting him around 15% the speed of light. Again, remember, we're doing ranking the classes, not wanking the classes. So we want to be cordial with these multipliers here. And that's pretty much it. This has been the 3rd episode for today, and as we've seen, these guys have really turned up the heat. But this is not the end of it all, as Yusuke gives it all he's got in the next chapters ahead. And that's when we'll talk about the A-class demons. So, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. This is Atari HMB, and I'm signing off. Peace.